I woke up choking on my own heartbeat at 3:12 a.m., fingers digging into my chest like I was trying to tear out the guilt that wouldn't die. I didn't kill my father with my hands, but I finally killed the version of me that had been dying for him for 20 years. My name is Dr. Elias Voss. I am 41. By day, I'm the man who holds dying hearts in my palms and brings them back to life. At night, I'm the son who just stopped letting his family carve us out, piece by piece. On paper, my life was the kind people screenshot and envy. I clawed my way out of that rust-eaten mill town where dreams went to die. I became the cardiac surgeon with the quiet colonial house on Maple Ridge, the one with the old oak that creaks like it's whispering secrets. I had Lena, my wife, who came home from her ICU shifts smelling of antiseptic and quiet strength. And our two daughters, little Maya and Sophie, who still looked at me like I could stitch the whole world back together if it broke. But the fractures were already spreading. Lena would catch me staring at my phone at 2 a.m., her tired eyes reading the tension in my jaw the way I read EKGs. "You're disappearing, Elias," she whispered one rainy evening, her voice soft but cutting. "And they're the ones holding the blade." My father, Harlan, was forged from iron and resentment. His voice could make steel flinch. My mother, Marlene, moved through life like fog, always apologizing for storms she didn't cause. My younger brother Caleb and his wife treated every financial disaster like it was my personal duty to fix. I was the one who made it. That single sin turned me into their lifeline with a pulse. It started quietly, a few thousand for emergencies, then signatures, then bigger asks. Family takes care of family. Harlan would growl, his eyes gleaming with that familiar, bottomless hunger. One night, after a brutal 32-hour shift, my scrub still stiff with someone else's blood, my phone lit up. Harlan's voice slid through like warm venom. "So, I found the perfect boat. Just need your name on the loan. You won't even feel it." Something in his tone made my stomach twist, like he already knew I'd say yes before I opened my mouth. I signed. Of course I did. 18 months later, I had quietly drained nearly $90,000 into a luxury boat I had never stepped foot on, never smelled the salt on, never even seen a photo of. Every time I tried to pull back, the guilt flooded in. Holidays, birthdays, the kids need this, your mother's crying again. Lena stood in our kitchen one night, arms crossed, voice shaking with exhaustion. "Keep feeding them pieces of yourself, Elias, and one day there'll be nothing left for us." I hated her for being right. Then came that freezing January morning. Between two open-heart surgeries, my hands trembling under the sink lights, I opened the banking app, and with one tap, I killed every automatic payment. 2 weeks later, the explosion hit. Missed calls, screaming voicemails, Harlan's voice detonating through the speaker. "What the hell did you do, boy?" I answered, my voice colder than any scalpel I'd ever held. "I stopped paying for a life I never asked for. I stopped being your goddamn lifeline." But that wasn't the worst of it. That same night, my mother called sobbing. "How could you turn your back on your own blood? Caleb's children are asking why Uncle Elias doesn't love them anymore." The words landed like ice in my veins. Every yes I'd given over the years suddenly felt like another incision I'd willingly allowed. I was teaching my own daughters that love means letting people bleed you dry until you're hollow. That family is just another word for extraction. The late notices started piling up. My credit score began to bleed out. The boat was heading for repossession. I didn't care. For the first time in decades, the silence in my house felt heavier than their screams. I couldn't breathe anymore. Every night, I lay awake staring at the ceiling, chest tight, wondering how much of me I had already lost. Short, jagged thoughts kept slicing through. They never loved me. They loved the access, the money, the status, the version of me that never said no. Then the final truth crashed over me like a flatline. It wasn't just the money. It was the way they had slowly, expertly trained my little girls to see the same pattern. That Uncle Caleb's kids got the expensive gifts while Maya and Sophie got whatever was left over. That family only reached out when they needed something drained. I had been volunteering as their sacrifice for years, and I was unconsciously teaching my daughters to grow up and do the same. That night, something inside me finally flatlined for good. I didn't just cut the cord. I killed the obedient son who had been slowly dying on that operating table for 2 decades. Blood is supposed to be thicker than water. But is it thicker than self-respect? Thicker than protecting the people who actually need you? The ones who never asked for your last drop? Some mornings I still wake up wondering if I'm the villain in their story, or the first one brave enough to stop lying down on the altar. If it were you, if your own family only reached for you when they needed to take something vital, would you have cut the cord? Would you finally choose yourself and the people who actually love you? Tell me honestly in the comments, because some nights I still don't know the answer.